Well, so who loved Rogue One, a Star Wars story? Everybody, apparently. We finally got our first anthology Star Wars movie, the first of many, I assume. In its opening weekend, the movie made $155 million in North America and $290 million worldwide. Everyone is saying how much they love the movie. If I go on my Facebook feed, it's just one person after another, after another, after another. Yes, the movie was great. Everybody loved it. But before I get into my full review of the movie, we need to talk about what I think is the worst part about Rogue One. Now, this is something that we also knew going into this, that it was going to happen, and I thought I was going to be okay with it, and I wasn't. The worst thing about Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is that it didn't have an opening crawl. Now keep in mind, before I go into my full review of this movie, this is not a spoiler-free zone. I'm gonna be dropping some spoilers, nothing too big, but the movie's been out for a few days now, and based on those box office numbers, I have to assume that you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, please come back and watch this movie afterwards. I really appreciate that. And like I said, we knew this movie was not going to have an opening crawl. It wasn't gonna have that iconic Star Wars theme song. The words weren't gonna fly up on the screen, and I missed it. And I know that a lot of you are gonna jump into the comments of this video to defend it, saying that this was a different director's take on Star Wars. It was a different story. Well, that was the same case with J.J. Abrams taking on Star Wars Episode 7. But then your other argument might be, well, this isn't one of the main episodes, so it doesn't need the crawl. Well, here's the thing. The TV shows have done it, the cartoons have done it, the comic books have had a crawl. Literally, they use a crawl to sum up what you've missed in the comics anytime you read a new comic. It's fine. It honestly is fine that it doesn't have it, but to me, it kind of ruins it a little bit because it takes it almost out of the Star Wars universe. It is a Star Wars story. It's in the name. So with it, I think it deserves to have the tradition of the theme song. Now, normally I'm completely against all forms of tradition, but this is one that it needs. I will never, ever forget how I felt. In 1999, I was at the midnight release for Star Wars Episode 1. I waited in line 12 hours with my dad. We were gonna see this movie, and then the Lucasfilms logo pops up, and then In a Galaxy Far, Far Away pops up, and then it goes black. And it gets so quiet in that entire theater. It was such a big theater too, and it was so quiet. And then all of a sudden, that opening title hits, the music starts, the Star Wars pops up, and the crowd went crazy. And I will never forget, I still get goosebumps telling that story. And there's just something about that opening crawl and that music that just makes it Star Wars. I know that I saw a great Star Wars movie, but to me, it felt incomplete without it. And I really, truly hope that the next few anthology movies, they have it. So that is the worst part about Rogue One. There are some other things that people had an issue with. For example, a lot of people are saying that the characters were forgettable. I think that's a large pile of bull. I thought the characters were amazing characters. I thought that they were very unique. But going back to the music, I do think that one of the problems with this music was that it wasn't John Williams doing the full score for this movie. The score for Rogue One was good, and they actually did a really good job of making it sound like John Williams' original scores, and it had his style of music. But there's something that John Williams just does really well, and I think better than anyone else, is that he adds character to his music. There's a reason why all the Star Wars theme songs are so great. It's because John Williams does it so well. And I think the music in Rogue One is beautiful. I couldn't hum any of it. I couldn't tell you what song was what. There was like one main theme that kind of popped up. But the music was still great. It just wasn't on par to one of John Williams' scores, and I think rightfully so. He's a legend for a reason. And finally, no, this isn't really a knock on the movie, but it's something that I think it's worth noting, is that this is, I believe, the first time since Disney has acquired either Marvel or Star Wars that we've really seen them play the Disney card. We're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're going to do this as specific. We're going to stay to Disney brand here. This movie underwent somewhere between 40 to 50% for reshoots. And Disney was like, oh, no, this is just standard. It happens in production, which is pretty true. But They wanted to lighten up the tone. They didn't want this movie to be so dark and gritty. And we're lucky to have the movie that we did, but it could have been a little more intense. And I hope that in the future they don't do this too much, because I think a little bit of action and a little bit of grit is not a bad thing. The last thing that I do want to mention that I don't think was needed in this movie, and I'm sure Disney wanted it in there, was after the main bad guy dies and you have the two main characters, again, I don't remember anyone's names, I'm sorry. After they send out the signal to space, they have like this moment where they were really close, and it was like, you got to see like some, like a romantic relationship between them. Like there was a small spark of it, and I thought it wasn't needed. When they were there at the beach and they held hands and they hugged each other, like that was a sweet, great moment. It was the end of their times, and that's, they embraced. Whereas like we didn't need it in the elevator. I'm gonna say it, not every movie needs to have a romance subplot. Now that I've talked about all the things that I did not like about Rogue One, let's talk about what made this movie so great. For the first time in a long time with Star Wars, this movie, I felt, put the wars in Star Wars. We really got to see the scope of what we were dealing with. Not only did we get to see how large the Rebel Alliance was, like there's like all these committees that come together to form the Rebel Alliance, but we also got to see how much the Empire is feared, and the Empire became a dark, scary entity, and we understood the scope of that. There are people that are dying across the universe because of the Empire and the Rebel cause, and we finally got to see that on the big screen. And again, the big thing that I loved about this movie, outside of the scope, was it showed people dying. This is the first time in Star Wars where they're able to show you, hey, here are all the good guys. Guess what? They're all gonna die now, one by one by one. And every scene was great because I felt that the characters were amazing characters, and I felt for them, and I loved the characters. Again, some spoilers here, because I told you, it's gonna be spoilers. The scene where the robot died, where their droid died, played by Alan Tudyk, which did an amazing job. I felt for it. Like, I felt so damn bad that character went. And then when Ip Man and his buddy with the giant gun, they were rushing into battle and died. It was good. I got goosebumps. It still feels good. I gotta see this movie again. I need to see this movie again. People died, because that's war. That is Star Wars, and it was good. You know what? Some people are worried about an oversaturation of Star Wars movies, because we're gonna get one every single year until they stop making money, and based on this box office, who knows when that's gonna be. I'm okay with it, because I love this movie, not just because it's Star Wars, but because I love the lore of Star Wars. I love that universe. I love the backstory. I want to know the different takes. I want to know about the different battles, and I hope that the Han Solo prequel gives us all of that and more. Go watch Rogue One. It was very good, and it deserves a watch. I was worried about this director in the beginning. Because he directed Godzilla, and I didn't like Godzilla. There was some direction in that movie that I didn't think were very good, how they kept cutting away from action. And I was worried. I was like, no, don't give him a Star Wars movie. I love the product that we got, and I can't wait till next year when we get episode 8. I'm going to do another video on this channel very soon talking about the comparisons between episodes 4 and episode 7, and then using episode 5 to guess what happens in episode 8. But that is for another time and another video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Did you think my idea of it needing a crawl is completely stupid? What character was your favorite character? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about your favorite parts of Rogue One and why you loved it, or why you hate it. I want to hear that too. Till the next time, guys, I'll see you later. Once again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and be sure to sign up for notifications, because hey, we all know there's something wrong with YouTube. If you want to see last week's video where I talk about the Spider-Man Homecoming Venom theory, click that box to the left. Also, I got a video right here that YouTube thinks that you're going to like, to the box to the right. Give that a watch. Let me know if you liked it. Talk to you later. I'll see you later.